Welcome to DASGeek. This is our weekly news segment where I feed you all of the tech goodness that's happening during the week and save you from accidentally clicking on celebrity nonsense. So first up in the news, I think we have to mention E3. E3 is stealing all the headlines across the news feeds right now. Everyone is excited for the Electronic Entertainment Expo. That's what those three E's stand for. And there will be all kinds of coverage going on next week, starting on June 14th through the 16th. And people are very excited to see everything that the gaming industry leaders are going to show. Personally, I am very excited about seeing Legend of Zelda. I have high hopes for that, even though I'm not sure if I'm going to go buy a Wii for it, but I will certainly be interested in seeing how that pans out. Mass Effect Andromeda, definitely love some Mass Effect, and hopefully Nintendo will show us some previews or thoughts on their new NX system. There's a lot of predictions of what Nintendo could do. Hopefully they don't end up being a lame duck like they have been in the years past. And I love Nintendo, so don't get me wrong. It's just they really haven't brought anything exciting to these conferences before, but hopefully they've got something in the works for us in their Treehouse event, and you can check that out next Tuesday at about 9 a.m. is when Nintendo's up, so we'll see what they come out with during that time. Another couple of announcements that I'm excited to hear about is any variations of the Xbox One, so the new Xbox, whether they're going to talk about that, or the PlayStation 4. I think it's interesting that today we did get confirmation from Sony's CEO that the PS4, or the codename Neo 4.5, whatever you want to call it, is in fact in the works. So now it's not just rumors, although they seem to be quite validated rumors before. Now they're officially coming out saying they're releasing this system that will support 4K and have some upgraded hardware. And a lot of folks predict that's to help support the virtual reality headset, so hopefully we hear about that as well, and we'll see if Xbox is willing to do an announcement on their new Xbox One. They did mention, the CEO, that it will be more expensive than its current PS4 offering, which really creates an interesting opportunity, I think, for Microsoft to come in and kind of do what PlayStation did to the Xbox One. So PlayStation had a little more powerful hardware, and it also came in at a cheaper price, pretty much guaranteeing its victory during the console wars a few years back. And now PlayStation saying, hey, we're going to come out a little more expensive than our current PS4, but what if Microsoft comes out with their new Xbox One and bam, it's cheaper. It's the same price as getting a regular Xbox One. May piss off the current fans that spent money, but I think at this point Microsoft's more interested in trying to get their leadership place back in the gaming market. So very interesting opportunity there for Microsoft, and we'll see how this battles out. Of course, if PlayStation's the only one that's offering a virtual reality headset right off the bat, then it really doesn't matter what price point Microsoft comes in at. Everybody's going to be vying for that PlayStation unit. Microsoft certainly has the ability to come out with a VR headset that will work with their Xbox One. They've got a lot of investment in VR, so a lot of good stuff going on in the gaming market, a lot of competition. Love to see that. So we'll see how that all pans out. In other news, Twitter's user data has been compromised. So they're joining LinkedIn, MySpace in this recent increase of these kinds of credential hacks. The hack apparently compromised 32 million users, but Twitter is claiming, at least at this point, that the data wasn't hacked from their site. It wasn't a direct breach, but a breach from other sites where people had the same passwords, etc. Although there's definitely some varying claims there. But to protect yourself, definitely enable two-step authentication. And in fact, you should do that on every single site going forward, and be leery of signing up for any site that doesn't have two-step authentication. Also, make sure you never use the same password for all of your stuff. And if you're just stubborn and won't listen at all, I know some of you are, then at least create a different password for any of your financial stuff, and then another password for your social and forums and junk that you're signing up to. It may not put you as much risk, but ideally you need to get a password manager or something that will allow you to have completely different and more complex passwords for every site that you're willing to sign up for, and you should be pretty picky about what you sign up for and give all your information away to, because at this point it's just a bloodbath out there. Companies are just bleeding your data out of every single orifice they have. So if you're gonna give your data and sign up for stuff, you can pretty much guarantee if you're not using the right passwords, if they're not utilizing any encryption, if you're just signing up through a standard HTTP connection, your stuff's probably going to be hacked. So, and just a little self-promotion here, if you subscribe to my channel, you'll get all kinds of videos about how to secure yourself from these type of breaches. I do spend a lot of time talking about security and the best ways to protect you. So you can hit subscribe, doesn't cost you anything, and may save you some money and a lot of heartache. And I had a video just yesterday discussing my favorite choices for a password manager, which I released very quickly so that you guys would have that in the case that you are falling victim to some of these hacks. I also have videos on cloud storage and securing your files, which really leads to my next news topic, which is malware. So Netscope is saying that during their study, 1 in 10 of the files out there on the cloud are infected with malware. So files on the cloud, meaning drives like Google Drive, OneDrive, all of that, where people share these files with one another. You know, they set up these groups on Google Drive and they're sharing stuff. 1 in 10 contain malware, and that was a study that included millions of users over a 3-month period. So generally this is caused by people downloading things that are untrustworthy from sites they don't know. They don't have the proper security setup. Like I use Webroot's my favorite antivirus, anti-malware firewall solution, and it also has a website monitoring service built in that warns you about sites that potentially have malicious links in them, etc. So people who do not use those type of services, or more importantly, and this is the one time I'm going to really vary from the free option, if you're using one of those free antivirus firewall malware solutions, they used to be really good, but the reality is, at this point, unless you have one that I'm not aware of, all the ones that used to be really popular have turned into complete junk. And these companies that used to have them, they got big, everybody started downloading their stuff, they got popular, and they really want you to get away from that free one, so they don't really support the free ones very well anyways, and the open source ones have gotten around, people have been able to get around them quite easily in recent months, so they're really not there's not a good solution that's free there. You need to spend some money and get yourself a proper firewall, malware, antivirus protection for your computer. And it doesn't matter if you're on Mac or not, by the way. You can still get compromised. Don't believe the BS. And or if you use Linux, you're probably less likely to run into that type of stuff, but it's not immune. It's not immune. Nothing's immune. So in any case, especially if you're running Windows or Mac OS, get yourself a good antivirus, malware, firewall solution. I recommend Webroot. It's my favorite at the moment. That's certainly subject to change as these companies, sometimes they start off really great and then they kind of go piss poor. But in this case, at the current time, that's my favorite. So Mozilla is in the news this week with Firefox 48 coming in the next 6 weeks, which will finally utilize multiprocessor capabilities, which should increase performance greatly amongst the Mozilla fan base out there. Unfortunately, Chrome has continued to grow in market share, crossing into the 60% of users, and Firefox has been declining. Hopefully with the new security patches in their latest version they released, I think a week ago, will help boost them. Additionally, with these multiprocessor capabilities, they should get some additional press, and hopefully customers will start coming back and going away from Chrome. I don't dislike Chrome by any means, though I do take issue with the data gathering methodologies of Google overall right now. And I believe any company, it doesn't matter who it was, gaining 60% of the market is really kind of dangerous for competition. So I really hope people give Opera, which is my favorite, specifically Opera Developers Edition and Firefox, another look, because they really are fantastic browsers. And in my comparison in the video that I did, Opera and Firefox did incredibly well. So definitely go check that out and consider giving up your Chrome habits, or at least utilizing a combination of Chrome and Firefox and Opera. I think you'll find yourself more addicted to Firefox and Opera once you start using them than Chrome. Next up in the news, Apple Project Titan So if you're not familiar with Project Titan, that is their secret program that Apple is using that they are potentially going to be getting into the auto car industry, which, if true, I'm ridiculously excited about. I do want to mention before I get into this, I do own Apple stock. I certainly don't spend most of my time talking good about Apple, though, in order to get that stock to go up. In fact, I probably spend more time bashing them because they've just had a lot of bash-worthy things going on lately. But this one I'm pretty excited about. The idea of Apple getting into cars apparently stemmed from a vehicle called the V vehicle, a gas-running, plastic-inspired vehicle that Jobs had seen at some point and got him kind of excited about and that particular vehicle ran on gas at the time, but obviously it used it sparingly, being as light, made of plastic and glass. But I think the idea of Apple getting into cars, the self-driving, of course, the amount of money that they have, and really getting another competitor in there to challenge the not the grassroots by any means, the Goliath auto industry that's kind of been in place, hasn't changed. I mean, they're still selling vehicles at 14, 15 miles per gallon, which is just asinine in this day and age, and combustible controlled explosion engines. It would be nice to have some technology come in there and really find a way that's a healthy compromise between going full electric and the ridiculous cost that there's been in trying to get one of those vehicles, $60,000 to $100,000, which is out of most people's price range, into something where it's affordable, maybe a really well-running hybrid between the two, if it's light enough and safe enough. And certainly Apple, with its engineering genius, is capable of doing something like that. So I'm excited, if it's true, to see what Apple could come up with there. Finally, we have Lenovo showing off a bendable phone you can wear. I've honestly dreamt this up ever since I started playing Fallout, and I feel like it's a really, really good idea. Instead of strange bulges in our pants and large cases hanging off our belts, we can have our phones just slapped on our wrists like those slap bands that we used to have in middle school. Now I'm aging myself. But I just think that, when you look at the lame duck smartwatches, that's what I call them, they're kind of just worthless. It's just another device that you have to charge that beeps and dings at you. And I know not everybody feels the same way I do. That's just how I view them. And eventually, when I had those watches, I'd end up getting my phone out anyways, because you can only do so much on the watch, and you're going to end up needing to get on your phone to really text or reply back with any significance. So I love the idea of having my phone on my actual wrist, Fallout style, where I can get to everything I need, and it's, like I said, don't have to put more things in my pocket, etc. So I'm pretty excited to see what Lenovo does there. They're really starting to come into the phone game heavily, and I will be following them, longingly hoping that they can make some impact on the way we utilize our phones today. So that's it. That's our news for the week. I hope you enjoyed our full week of content. Monday through Friday, you're getting new videos if you subscribe to fill your brain with all kinds of geeky goodness. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and I will talk to you again on Monday.
Don't get subscribed. Does not like the video.